It's time for TWiT episode 244. Coming up, John C. Dvorak and our newest TWiT employee talking about the latest tech news, including Twitter advertising, a giant cloud of ash covering Europe, and why Farmville is such a crappy game and yet so hard to stop playing. This Week in Tech is coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by AOL Music and Spinner.com, where you can get free MP3s, exclusive interviews, and more. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 244 for April 19th, 2010. Pork chops and applesauce. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Go-To Training. Improve learning, participation, and access to training programs, and save a bunch with Go-To Training. For a free trial, visit gototraining.com. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account, go to squarespace.com/twit. And by Audible.com. To download 2 free audiobooks of your choice, go to audible.com/twit2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, the show that covers all the tech news. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us in studio today, John C. Dvorak.
Hello.
The tech hippie. That's his new show. I like that. I mean, somebody's new show. Some guy. Looks a little like you. Oh, it looks like your brother.
Yeah.
I know you went to Berkeley, and so he probably, he's kind of like that.
Yeah. Very typical of a Berkeley student back in the day. Nowadays, it's all kids from China.
And also here in studio, and I'm really thrilled to welcome him to studio today because he is our newest TWiT. Actually, he will be because you don't start yet. Mr. Tom Merritt.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, Tom. We're trying to find a name for a title for Tom.
I like Viceroy.
Viceroy.
Yeah.
I'm Chief Twitty's Viceroy. No? You don't like it, John?
I think you got to get him with someone that's it should be alliterative and it should have the word Tom in it.
Governor General.
Major
That's why Tom TWiT would be
Tom
good.
TWiT.
Because he's got it.
We could all be, I could be Leo TWiT, you could be John TWiT, you could be Tom TWiT, we could just all have the last name TWiT. Be like Ken Norton.
Be like the Ramones.
Yeah. Okay, no, you're thinking of
the other guy.
Yeah.
Joe Foreman.
George Foreman.
Oh, right, with all
You'll
his
get it
children.
eventually.
So Tom you told CNET, right?
Oh. No, not yet.
Right.
The press release goes out tomorrow.
I was so busy Friday.
No, I'm really thrilled that we could get you as part of the TWiT family.
What's he going to do here?
It's 4 hours of daily programming.
Yep.
Monday through Friday.
He's the next anchor, basically. Eventually, we want to go 24/7. But
Do you expect to move him? Not that I'm not noticing he's sitting right here, but do you expect to move him to New York? You going to do the New York thing?
Yeah,
still?
but you don't want to go to New York. You could if you wanted to.
I'll stay here for now.
Well, you should.
Eileen, his lovely wife, is in
Believe me,
studio with us
I've already
as well.
consulted
About the New York thing?
She would love to go to New York, but not yet.
Maybe,
Yeah, she's given the...
So
There's
New
a lot
York,
of museums in New York.
the New York thing,
They got restaurants there.
they do.
London, however.
When we start our London office, you're
You
number
start a
one on the
London office,
runway.
That'll be the end.
So Tom, of course, everybody knows from Buzz Out Loud. He's been on the show many times. He does shows on the TWiT network already. You've been doing East Meets West here. Your new one, Current Geek Weekly,
Yeah,
is
it's been
great.
doing great.
I love that.
Having a lot of fun with Scott. We had Jonathan Colton on this week.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I walked in. I said, "Wait a minute, that's Joko."
Yeah.
Awesome.
And not as a musical guest, but as a geek guest.
I'm gonna have to get you to really
kinda-
now that you're in TWiT, you got to talk into the mic, not across
Mike
it.
keeps running around.
That mic is a barrel.
Point it down. Point it down at your. Here, I'll help you.
That's what they were trying to do before, yeah.
But now you can't. Now, but see, now you have that rich, refulgent sound. We don't want to see you. We want to hear you.
That's true.
It's actually the heritage of TWiT as a audio network, which is really kind of not true anymore, is it? So I guess we got to get smaller mics or something.
You can get to talk across mics.
Bob Heil.
This mic is such a great sounding mic.
I just love the sound, though.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
That is such a good sound.
Bob Heil, the guy who makes these mics, and is really a great guy, made us a smaller one.
Oh,
He said,
right.
I can make a small one for you. Colleen has it up in her studio.
The same,
I saw that.
Same mic
with the same,
all the same
diaphragm?
parts. Yeah.
With the same diaphragm.
Hey, Dane, would you or Jammer B, would you run upstairs and get that mic at Colleen's office? I can show everybody. And he also says you don't need the spider mount. So maybe we could make these smaller, but I kind of like it's part of the set.
It is kind of cool.
John's choosing a wine
Well,
now.
I mean, you got something to check out here.
Dane Golden or
it's
sommelier.
ink grade.
Sommelier.
The ink grade. What does that mean?
That means nothing.
I should make clear that I'm still at CNET until May 14th.
Well, that's
Right.
forever.
And then after that, I'm off a couple weeks, and then I start here full-time June 1st.
Right. So June 1st, your first day,
So
but we'll
people
see.
won't expect me tomorrow to
see a
suddenly
lot
be
of you.
gone or anything.
And I think that one of the first things we're going to do is a daily news show.
Yeah, Today in Tech.
TIT?
Oh, wait, unfortunate acronym. Isn't it? Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll have to work on the name.
But we'll do a daily news show, some agenda. Tech 9.
A partial agenda.
Partial agenda.
Yeah. Tech 9.5.
Tech 9.5. No, and I'll help you with that, but we're also looking for a co-host for you. I admit, we tried to get Molly to join us as well, but she didn't want to. It's okay. She got a good offer. That's my little mic. What do you
Let me
think?
see.
That's the Bob Heil Mini.
Michaelito.
Show the camera.
Yeah.
Who's got me?
Miguelito.
Here's this is the same basic mic. These two.
It's just
big
much more
boxer,
compact.
and it's light.
Yeah.
This is a good mic to sell.
I know.
Except I don't know how you'd mount it. But
You mount it the same way. You just
Well, you said you don't need the
you
spider
don't need a
mount.
spider.
no, you wouldn't. Well, this is
You just mount
this
it really
is a glamorous
simply.
little mic.
Yeah, don't you
Great
like
for
that?
Traveling, yeah. If you're gonna
Bob
travel.
Heil is so incredible. He was a rock and roll sound guy. He did the quadraphonic sound for Quadrophenia for The Who. He invented for Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton's wife Penny said, "I want to buy Peter something for Christmas," and Bob invented the thing that goes.
He invented that?
Yeah, you know what it is? I thought it's some elaborate thing. It's a tube. It goes into your mouth, and the sound goes into your mouth, and then you put it in front of a microphone, and it comes out of your mouth. So the sound from the guitar is pumped into a hollow plastic tube.
Well, and then you
No.
just
And you
So
go,
you're
wah, wah,
essentially
wah.
blowing the sound
that's
out.
it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's not
That's cool.
fancy.
No,
He said,
but that's awesome.
Bob said to me, Peter loved it. He fell in love with it, used it. Of course, made Frampton Comes Alive, which was a huge hit. He said, but nobody used it better than Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is
Well,
the
that's
guy.
too bad.
Life's been just Bob
Anyway.
Heil in Fairview Heights, Illinois.
Right.
Near where I grew
Your
up.
home area,
St.
yeah.
Clair Square, the mall in Fairview Heights, where we always shopped.
There you go.
Yeah. They didn't sell Heil mics then.
So Bob then is a ham, and he bemoaned the lack after being a sound guy for years that there was no good ham microphones. And these PR40s that we use were made as ham microphones at first.
So you could have it's the big balls.
They're the big, yeah.
That's what they call them.
QSL.
I never heard of hams carrying.
I don't know. There you go. So that has nothing to do with tech.
No.
Well, it's
actually,
mic
it does.
tech.
This does have something to do with tech, but it's pretty vague. Obscure.
Are you going to Europe soon? When are you going to Europe?
Yeah, I'm going for the IFA press event this weekend.
What's IFA? IFA.
IFA is the German CES.
Ooh, fun.
And they have it every September, and then they do a press event in
They
the
invite people all
spring.
the time.
So Tom's
I'm
going to
sitting on
IFA.
a panel
He's
talking
going to-
about blogs and podcasting.
IFA panel. But
If the ash
how can you get there?
cloud doesn't stop me. Well, Spain right now is below the ash cloud because Spain
Barcelona, if not.
Spain is
but
south.
Madrid is.
Did Barcelona get covered today?
Yeah, I was looking at a map.
All right, well, we're screwed then because we're flying into Barcelona.
Oh, no, you can't get to Barcelona.
Because I looked at a map on BBC, and it didn't cover Barcelona yet. But maybe it'll dissipate by Wednesday. If not, we'll just go to Hawaii.
That's what I do. They are flying planes under the cloud, but they're not putting passengers in
Right.
them.
The airlines are losing so much money that they're testing out planes to prove that it's safe to carry passengers, so that the European agencies will allow them to fly.
$200 million a day.
$200 million a day.
A
yeah.
day.
The equivalent of, I don't know how many euros, but
It's like €5.
5-6 euros.
But
no, it's the other way around.
yeah.
more
It's like-
more
No, it's
euros.
500
No, it's five. No, you're right. No, it's
Yeah,
5 euros.
I'm not a fool.
$200,
I'm
right.
not the fool you take me for. Here's the interesting thing. Would it be a good time to invest in transatlantic ocean service? I'm thinking it might
Answer,
be.
No.
Depends on how long that cloud's going to be around.
We don't know. The
Well, you know,
last
the
time
worst
this
part-
is the little volcano, and the last
Yeah.
time the little one went.
The big one goes.
Yeah. If
And
the sister
apparently, the
goes-
only thing keeping the big one from blowing is the fact that there's a huge glacier sitting on top of it, and the little one melts the glacier, Then
boy.
the big one goes, and it's like 5 times bigger than this thing.
Oh, dear.
That would
Then you're in
cause
trouble.
a problem.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen after I get to Spain.
You'd be stuck there.
We have a French kid here staying with us. We have a French kid staying with us, an exchange student. And she was the last plane out of France. And she's never going home. She's moving in with us. I think.
Wow.
She's not supposed. She's supposed to go home next week. I don't think so.
No,
Well,
How long is this
maybe
going to
by
last?
next week. They keep saying, "Oh, it's going to dissipate in another 48 hours," but it
said
doesn't.
that 48
it doesn't-
hours
Yeah,
ago.
exactly. It doesn't seem to stop. It seems to get worse. It seems to expand, and more ash is coming out. And,
You know what the hashtag for the ash cloud is?
no.
Hashtag.
Oh, well, of course it is. Well, but what am I thinking? I knew that. I knew that without knowing that.
You knew it.
You know, the Royal Navy is getting in on it as well. They're planning to go rescue British citizens stranded by having them go to the coast, and the Royal Navy will come and pick
It's
them
like
up.
Dunkirk all over.
Yeah, it's reverse Dunkirk. Well, not reverse. It's
that's exactly
Dunkirk without
Dunkirk.
a war. Yeah.
Right. Bloomberg. Bloomberg. What?
You said Blueberg.
Bloomberg says that the loss from the ash to the airlines is $200 million a day, but there's also a big loss to the tech industry. Revenue losses could reach $1 billion because you can't fly stuff in. You're going to have to ship it.
Perishables are already suffering right now because you can't bring in fruit and
what a
all this
terrible
stuff is
time
just
for this to happen to
I don't
the
know how much
airlines.
fruit is flown in, but
fruit's probably
the
a bad
kicker of the whole
example,
thing
but there's
is
a
that
lot of food that is.
is that the French train workers were on strike.
Yeah, they're still on strike, aren't they?
I don't
Aren't
know.
they
Are
always
I
on
haven't
strike?
figured
I
that
read
out.
today somebody, kind of a personal story about getting to France and the trains were on strike.
Yeah, so I told a friend of mine was stranded in Paris, and we told her, well, just take the train to the Dunkirk ferry and take the ferry back to England. She had to go back to England.
Yeah.
And then we said they can't because the trains are on strike, so everyone's stuck. And I said, stuck in Paris, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
The railway strikers were like, this is the best thing ever. Look at all the leverage we have now.
Did you see the president of Norway running the country from JFK with an iPad?
Why
I
does he
did
go-
see that. Yeah, we talked
but why
about that.
doesn't he go
on
to
Friday.
the embassy? There's a consolate in New York for Norway. Why doesn't he just go
I don't
there?
think
What's
he
his-
really is running Norway from an
think it's
iPad, but it's just
bull crap.
it's just a great it's just a great story. I don't know.
I mean, how often do you get in the headlines if you're running Norway?
Right.
You got to do what you can to get some press.
I didn't know anyone was running Norway.
Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg, like thousands of others, stranded by the volcanic cloud hanging over Europe, governing Norway from his iPad. There's an app for that. That would be good. I have an iPad app.
You've been governing from your iPad?
It's called Godfinger.
Oh, yeah, I heard I'm in there.
You are. That's not you?
Huh? Yeah, it's me.
You're playing
you
Godfinger,
named
right?
one of your people after me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that in Godfinger.
Right.
But you have a Godfinger game, right?
What are you
do.
talking about?
It's a little gamey app
A
called
gamey app?
Yeah.
Godfinger. Here, I'll let you
It's a
play.
little gamey.
I've got my
Little
people.
pheasant.
I got my people, and I run them with my finger. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's like Katamari Damacy meets We Rule.
I don't even know what those
I don't
things
even
are.
see anything.
Okay, see? Play. Okay, so here's my planet. This is really good for the folks listening at home. I'll describe what you're about to see.
Oh, boy.
Look at all that gold. I got to harvest some gold. So all my people that have been working without me, they need some rain, though. So let me get a cloud over here.
What's the black cloud?
That's a thundercloud.
That's the Iceland cloud.
That's
the
the
volcanic
cloud.
ash.
So I'm raining on him so he can go back to work on his farm.
I like that you rain on people to make them work.
Yeah, well, watch this. This black cloud, that's lightning, and this little barn needs lightning. So I'm going to hold it and then
strike him with lightning.
And she goes,
All right, that's enough.
Look, I'm going to pick him up. See, he's tired. He's tired, so I'm going to drag him over to the tavern. Oh, wait a minute, here's a well.
This is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is the prelude to the nervous breakdown.
Well, one of the things that iTunes doesn't publicly release is the DSM-4 classification for most players, and I think narcissists lead in this game.
Do you think it's narcissistic just because I'm called a god?
Well, it could be a god complex. I don't know if those are a little different.
It could be.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I just leveled up I'm level 20 now.
That's what keeps you going, right? You want to keep leveling.
There's a great article. I'm going to read you this article because it's talking about Farmville and really the pernicious nature of games like Farmville. And you'll like this because it's for intellectuals. Let me find this. It's in our delicious...
Are you talking to me or John?
He's
Well,
just talking
you,
to
of
he's
course.
talking to himself. Actually,
No, I'm talking to the
He'll like
audience.
this,
We have a,
Leo. He'll
we have
like
a
this,
brilliant.
Leo. I will like it.
Leo, you will like this because you are so smart. Cultivated play. It's from Media Commons. The secret to Farmville's success. This is a speech, actually, that A.J. Patrick Liskowitz gave at SUNY Buffalo Amherst. I don't know what that means. On March 9th.
He gave a speech at SUNY Buffalo Amherst.
But Amherst is different from Buffalo, I thought. Anyway.
Oh.
He's
Well, no, I
talking-
think it's one of those schools that has little campuses everywhere.
He says, why is it that we like Farmville? He talks, you probably, you're such an intellectual, John. You probably heard of Roger Calwa's book, Man, Play, and Games.
No, but I'm sure my son has read it because he read every book on games in the world.
This is an interesting book. He says, play is an occasion of pure waste of time, energy, ingenuity, skill, and often of money. However, games are a source of joy as well as a healthy means of escape from responsibility and routine. And he kind of codified what makes a game a good game. Farmville is not a good game. He says, games that offer us a break from responsibility and routine are good games. Farmville is defined by responsibility and routine. Users advance through the game by harvesting crops at scheduled intervals. If you plant a field of pumpkins at noon, you have to return at 8 o'clock or risk losing the crop. Each pumpkin costs 30 coins, occupies 1 square of your farm. So if you own a 14 by 14 farm, a field of pumpkins costs 6,000 coins to plant. You have to click on each square 3 times, once to harvest the previous crop, once to replow the square of land, once to plant the new seeds. That means 600 mouse clicks to farm and an obligation to return in a few hours to do it again. That doesn't sound like much fun. Why would anyone do this? And they say the reason is social obligation. And the key that Zynga, companies making hundreds of millions of dollars a year on this, figured out is Farmville's popular because it entangles users in a web of social obligations. When users log into Facebook, they're reminded that their neighbors have sent them gifts, posted bonuses on their walls, and helped with each other's farms. In turn, they're obligated to return the courtesies. We play Farmville because we are trying to be good to one another. We are polite, cultivated people.
Being suckered.
Suckered. It's
Suckered.
troubling. And
By social engineers.
I think that's exactly the point. We are being social engineered into this.
Well, we talked on Thursday on Buzz Out Loud about the guy Jeffrey Miller, whose hypothesis is that the reason we haven't heard from aliens is that they're all playing games. and he's serious. Like he says, as the evolved mind pays attention to indirect cues of biological fitness, the result is we don't seek reproductive success directly anymore. We seek tasty foods that have tended to promote survival and luscious mates who have tended to produce bright, healthy babies. The modern result, fast food and pornography. Once they turn inwards to chase their, quote, shiny pennies of pleasure, they lose the cosmic plot.
Wow.
And so they just they turn inward and play games and never bother trying to contact anybody.
That is hysterical.
They don't have SETI at home. That's the
The
problem.
show is officially over.
What?
No, nothing.
Why do you say that?
You guys are talking about aliens now.
Have you seen Did you see the Facebook on South Park?
I've got more friends than Kyle. I've got more friends than Kyle. How the hell do you have more friends than me? Because people think I'm cool, dude. How many friends do you have, Kenny? What? How the hell do I only have 37 friends? You guys doing that stupid Facebook stuff again? Stupid Facebook stuff. Why are you guys in here wasting your time? We're supposed to be out playing video games. Stan, you don't get how cool Facebook has become. You can message your friends, play Yahtzee with your friends, even start your own virtual farm and have your friends visit it. Dude, who the hell wants to play Yahtzee? Stan, we know it's hard to get started, but we have a little surprise for you. Yeah, dude, we made you your own Facebook page. Surprise! No, I told you guys I don't want to be on Facebook. Yeah, but now you can be friends with all of us. I'm not collecting friends, and I'm not building any farms. I don't want to get sucked into this. All right, fine, dude. You don't have to add any friends. You can just be like Kip Jordy. Who? Kip Jordy, the 3rd grader. He's got no Facebook friends, and he's had a profile for more than 6 months. Gee,
All the
that's
updates are from him.
so sad. Everyone should have one Facebook friend. You guys are retarded. I'm playing Xbox. There's really people out there without a Facebook friend in the world? That's so wrong.
But that's what this guy's talking about, right? Is the social responsibility. You've got to satisfy your friends.
So Kyle ends up joining Facebook, getting sucked into Facebook, and feeling so sorry for this 3rd grader who has 0 friends. He becomes friends with Kip Doherty. And Kip tells his parents, I've made a friend. They're so excited. He says, I'm going to go visit my friend's farm. He has a farm. And he takes him to the movies. And I mean, it is, I have to say, I'm not a big South Park fan because it's kind of,
lewd.
It's a little lewd. But this is the
funny.
best. It's very funny.
When they focus on a social issue like this, they kill.
They nailed this one.
Yeah.
And this is, the page we're looking at is actually the Kip Doherty fan page on Facebook.
Like on Facebook.
Yeah, facebook.com/KIPDRORDY. And Kip has 143,000 fans. But the updates
He's not alone anymore.
Are all from the show. And I have to admit, when I was watching the show, I immediately updated my Facebook status to ate a pork chop for dinner and had nice applesauce too, which is straight out of the show. If you haven't seen it, it was not this week. I think it was last week's South Park.
Available online everywhere.
I've never played Farmville. Not a once.
Well, you're playing We Rule, and which is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I know, it's really similar. But it seems like there's less social obligation.
We Rule's more fun. You
don't get that push to, like, hey, so-and-so left you a gift.
But dude, let's just take a look.
We used to talk about computers.
These are all running on computers.
This is technology, John. You know what? This is what's happening. Yeah. And I think this is actually relevant. Is that when we started, John and I started, we would talk about processors, how much RAM, how to turn a Telnet account into a slip account so you could use Mosaic to surf the net. And what's happened is it's no longer important. What's important is what you do with it. We don't care about what process. Nobody cares anymore, right?
That's what I said.
It's become about content.
Well, the iPad is the emblem of that.
It is all about
because
content.
all of the criticisms of it are that it is not open and it can't do all of those things that you want to do to modify it. And I think David Pogue pretty much nailed it when he said, look, there's two groups. There's the group that's going to hate this because they're geeks and they can't open it up and do what they want with it. And there's the other group that aren't geeks and they don't care. And it's a toy for them. And they can do what.
Hey, Tom, by the way, I meant to say about your We Rule farm, you really got to work on it. It's kind of getting a little disordered and disheveled.
You mean the organization of it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's not as nice as it could. You need maybe put some bodies of water. A little more work on that.
You guys keep talking. I'll start.
Start working on it now.
Let's take a break. There is tech news, believe it or not. By the way, I just got a out of memory on my iPad, which I've never seen.
You get that on the We Rule. It's a We Rule bug.
It's a We Rule bug? Oh, okay. So it's not the iPad.
No, I don't think so.
You dodged a bullet, my friend.
Okay. John, you haven't touched it, right? This is you're new to the iPad, right?
I've touched hers.
That was your first iPad.
Thank you for clarifying.
Eileen, you touched Eileen's first time, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's fine. It's a giant iPod Touch.
Yeah, it is. But that.
Although I have the Nano version of this, which is indeed the iPod Touch.
The Pad Nano. I have not used my laptop in a long time, and it's interesting because Apple just this week announced new laptops, which normally I would have jumped to buy.
That's you.
And I didn't because it's like I haven't used my laptop. I can't really justify it.
They also didn't do a lot to, they didn't change the look of it. They added the better graphics processor and the i5 and i7 processors, which are nice, and it's good performance update, but they didn't change how it works. So.
Nevertheless, knowing me, I would have bought one had I not found that the iPad was enough. I don't use a laptop anymore.
Well, with me, I only use a laptop when I travel and I'm in a hotel.
Right.
Or here when I borrow
So you use a desktop most of the time.
I'm a desktop user.
Yeah.
I like a bunch of big screens. Right. I like to be in mission control.
I think that's what's going to happen is that those people who use something for portability will go with something that's like this, much more portable.
Believe that's true.
And then if you really need
Curry's
power...
a good example.
Is that what he would do?
He's crazy about this thing.
I am too, I have to say. Oh, there's Tom fixing his We Rule.
I just had to harvest some beans. That's. You know what? This is to me, and I took some flack from this from some folks who work in medicine who are like, "No, this is not a toy." But for me, this is a toy.
It's a toy.
I read comics on it.
Totally
I play games on it. I watch videos on it.
And you know what? There will be people doing work in vertical markets like medicine, but it's a toy. We're going to take a break. Come back and talk more about the tech stories of the week. John C. Dvorak is here from channeldvorak.com. He's got a new show we got to talk about. Or his brother has a new show we got to talk about, the Tech Hippie. In just a little bit. Also, our newest TWiT, Tom Merritt, will be joining the TWiT family on June 1st, doing new shows. He's already doing quite a few shows on. What's with Sword and Laser? Can we get Sword and Laser, or is that Revision 3 is going to have that?
It's possible. We'll have to figure that out.
I want that.
Yeah,
I want that. I love that show. Anyway, it's great to have you aboard.
Thank you.
We're going to be back in just a second, but I got to tell you about a brand new product from an old friend. Citrix is back with something called Go to Training. I know you know about Citrix's product. They invented remote access. They were really the guys who pioneered it. Citrix is still widely used in enterprise. Their Go to My PC makes remote access simple. Go to Meeting makes meetings simple. And now Go to Training. Improve learning, participation, and access to training programs and save a bunch with Go to Training. It's a web-based tool which enables up to 200 people to connect to a training session right from their desktops. This is the latest in e-learning, and it's real-time or on demand. You can record a session, and they can go and visit. This is really mostly for companies or consultants who need to train employees or customers. That Go to Training, the Citrix folks said, you know, I bet you, maybe not a lot of them are listening to a TWiT, but I bet you there's quite a few people who've been in really crappy corporate training who might say, can we please use Go to Training? It really is a great way to bring training sessions online easily, affordably, eliminate travel, save money on materials. You can upload any document type or link to any website to create your own content library, so you have your own curriculum. You can create and customize tests. You can send out email invites. There's scoring. I mean, it's just really a remarkable tool. We played with it a little bit, and I was very, very impressed. Screen sharing. You can pass presenter control from one PC to another. Built-in voice over IP. By the way, as we did a Go to Meeting with the folks to learn about this. On my iPad, it has the VoIP built in. The iPad, I just went in there, and this microphone on the iPad, I'm talking. I've got the whole meeting on here. It's amazing what they're doing. You can present the session yourself or include experts from anywhere in the world through screen sharing. Get feedback from your attendees while you present. There's an integrated chat window. There's a polling feature. I can go on and on. Look, just try it free. Or get your corporate trainer to try it free. 30 days. Go to training.com. And if you've attended a training session in person recently and it's not been up to snuff, send a quick note to the trainer. Say, you might want to try Go to Training. If you're an IT manager, mention Go to Training at your next staff meeting. Go to training.com. Free for 30 days. We thank Citrix so much for their support of all of our shows and really want you to try Go to Training. I was very impressed. Brand new from Citrix. Back to the show we go with John C. Dvorak and Tom Merritt. So you think the Apple laptops are less than inspiring, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be excited if I was definitely in the market to buy a new laptop. Good,
you know what I thought was
good
interesting?
Graphics card, good processor, but they're not the thing that's going to make me say, "Oh, I'm looking at my laptop now, and I got to dump it."
It's true,
because this is working fine.
It's actually true. Although 10-hour battery life on a 13-inch, this is the new thing.
Wasn't the previous 13?
Not 10.
It was 9, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty close, though. It wasn't like a 2.5 or anything.
But was it
that.
really 9? I don't think people were really.
My son has one of those, and
one thing
lasts forever.
One thing about Apple that I've found is that their claimed battery life usually that's one of the few things they don't lie about. Their claimed battery life usually ends up to be around, the actual battery life instead of
I have to
spiking
say
the
I am
tech.
extraordinarily tempted by a 10-hour 13-inch. That's just, and I think the iPad has changed my expectation.
You're never going to use it anymore. Why don't you just keep the iPad and stop using a laptop?
Okay, thank you.
Because the iPad battery life is crazy.
I just got an email from Apple. I got effectively the email is like an intervention from Apple.
Please stop talking about us?
No, that too. But I don't think Apple cares about that. Let's see.
Come on, tell us.
I'm going to read it to you. Here it is. Thank you for your recent Apple order. To ensure that all customers are given equal opportunity to acquire this product, we have limited the amount available per customer. Therefore, this order has been canceled.
What?
You got what canceled?
I bought another iPad, and they said I couldn't.
I couldn't have it?
They said you can't.
But you could walk down to the store and buy
won't
it.
let me buy
it's the only
anymore.
balance. You could have you wouldn't fall over. You could have one on each hand.
I was trying to make an iPad vest.
So they bumped you. They
They canceled my order.
Let's
for no
throw
good
out
reason?
the
Yeah,
idea
that's the
that
reason.
You don't need another one, possibly. But why do they care?
Well, apparently there's a shortage.
I mean, if you drive down to Emeryville and buy one, they're not going to deny it. They'll take your money.
I think there's a limit of 4 per account because I've ordered 4.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
Well, maybe there's a real shortage.
Are you going to bite on one while you're working on the other? I mean, what do you need more than one?
I only need one. I'm giving them to people.
Oh.
If there were that much of a shortage, you couldn't walk into a store and buy one, which I did on Friday.
Did you?
Yeah.
You were able to walk in. All right. Well, that's what I'll do. I wanted a 3G.
Well, the 3Gs aren't in yet.
Right. That's what I ordered, and they said, no, we canceled your order.
Can't have the 3G.
They canceled my order.
Crazy.
They've also announced that the European deliveries are going to be much delayed, and I think this is, again, shortages. I think these things are selling better than Apple. Well, let's put it this way. Apple can't keep up.
Well, that's the myth they want you to believe.
No, but, the same thing happened, remember, with the Nintendo Wii, and I had this argument many times with people. No company wants to create artificial shortages. There's no advantage to that. If you've got people saying we want to buy it, they want to sell it, don't they, John? Isn't it to their advantage to sell it rather than to create this imperative?
Nintendo is the last people to
they
play
faked
with
it?
this. They gave everybody a run for their money, and they became a huge demand, a pent-up demand.
So you think they faked it?
Apple?
Or no, Nintendo.
Oh, yeah,
artificially.
absolutely. Oh, please.
You think they artificially limited Wii availability?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you prefer to just
the
sell it?
Japanese can flip a switch and have 10 million products made overnight. I mean, it's not like this had to be. And there are people in marketing. They have a marketing department with probably 50 people in it. They project. They know exactly how many they're going to sell. So they created the scam. It's not
I only partially agree. I think they were taken by surprise with how many people wanted to buy them, but I think you're right that they sat on it instead of turning up the production. They squeezed it a little bit.
It doesn't take much.
But don't you? I mean, look.
More social engineering, like that crazy game.
You think it is? But wouldn't you prefer to sell everyone you could?
Yeah, me, but I'm not a social engineer. I don't have the.
So you think you'd sell more in the long run if you created this false impression that there's scarcity?
That's I think a theory, and I think it works because the Nintendo just went crazy with their. It can work if it's done properly.
You know why it probably works? Because the truth. Oh, and I'm going to get the email when I say this, and I've said it before. The truth is, the Nintendo Wii isn't that compelling of a product. You buy it, you play with it, and after. I mean, come on, it's on the shelf, right?
That seems to be the common.
No, that's not true with kids. The machine's being used all the time.
Yours is
actually in the same class as the iPad, which is the
that's what I'm wondering.
Continue to play with it.
That's what I'm wondering.
But the folks who are used to an Xbox or a PS3, they get bored with it really quick.
Although I have to say, the kids tend to use the DS more than they do the Wii.
I'm thinking
they love that.
The DS. No, the DS is real, and the new DS is nice and it's real.
The 3DS.
But I think the 3DS. I think the Wii. I think the Wii isn't that compelling, and so maybe this.
And now you get Netflix through the Wii.
Yeah, I think maybe this
With
is this theory that.
And by the way, the whole thing is a fiasco. They give me. I got the press kit, so they sent me the disc, and so I tried it out. It says, "Oh, now you can't. Nothing happens till April 14th or something like that." So I wait, and it says, and it gives me a code. It says, "Go to Netflix.com/Wii." And there's no place to put the code. It doesn't work. The whole thing is somebody dropped the ball on the promotion.
I have it on the PS3. It works fine. You register. It's just like the Roku, except you have to leave the disc in the PS3, which is so annoying.
Leave the disc in
it
the
gives
Wii.
you that experience of playing a DVD.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Darth Emma, Terry in our chat room says she was able to activate her Wii yesterday, and it works fine, John. Once again, John, you admit it. You have trouble with technology.
No, this was the specific program for the press. It wasn't the normal Wii. Yeah, you can go on there right now and type in that with Wii, and you can do a sign up, and you can go through a rigmarole, and it'll be working fine. But I'm saying the press kit, which had this special program, didn't work.
Didn't allow you to preview
and unless you
it.
went through that, I don't think the
apparently the Wii will turn you into a nympho. Did you know that? This is a story from the Register. A Manchester woman who took a tumble from her Wii Fit board
I heard of this.
is suffering an earth-moving side effect of the Nintendo-related mishap. She is now a nymphomaniac. Randy Amanda Flowers, age 24, was diagnosed with, quote, persistent sexual arousal syndrome due to a damaged nerve.
Not
what nerve
an
was that, I
nymphomania.
wonder?
She has
The vagus
persistent
nerve.
arousal syndrome.
She's susceptible to the slightest of...
This is one of those great text stories.
Yeah.
Sorry I started this.
You have to read it now.
She's susceptible... I should do it in the Viennese accent. She is susceptible
Why
to...
is it Viennese?
Yes, this is a
Freudian.
Dr. Freud says she is susceptible to the slightest of vibrations. Thank you. He likes that. With anything from mobile phones to a food processor, guaranteed to give her a buzz.
Dr. Ruth.
She says, it began as a twinge down below before surging through my body. Sometimes it built up into a trembling orgasm.
Oh, please.
She's a catering worker who now requires 10 sessions a day.
10 men?
10 men a day.
I would venture to say that this is not widely applicable. I don't think most users of the Wii will,
I like that to
will
happen to me.
encounter this issue.
That's bizarre. I don't know. I'm sorry I brought that up. Can we edit that out?
No. It's the best. So far, it's the best thing in the show.
Well, let's get to your column then.
John C. Dvorak, what are you up? Is this Market Watch? What are you up to now?
The Market Watch column.
What are you up to now, Dvorak?
Did you read it?
No, let me read it right now. Shall I read it in a Viennese accent?
I think a German accent.
German
well, same
accent?
thing. Wait, your accent is the same.
You know,
as German.
Jeff Jarvis speaks German. He does our This Week in Google show, which is moving to Wednesdays, by the way.
Wednesdays.
And, Wednesdays
on the internet everywhere.
The TWiT network. He pointed out that the word for a-hole in German is Arschloch.
Arschloch?
Arschloch.
Okay.
So he's calling it the Ashloch. Get it? It's a little German pun. You won't hear those very often on this show.
No, for good reason.
So what is your marketplace? I'm trying to find
Market
your
Watch.
Oh, that's why I typed marketplace. Market Watch.
Well, essentially, you say that net
Time
neutrality.
to short Apple?
No, I didn't say what you're going to say.
How do you know what I'm
I
going to
said,
say?
because you started off with the sentence structure that
Wait a
is
minute.
going to lead
Wait
in
a
one
minute.
direction. And
I got to read this one because
Net
I got it by
neutrality would end
accident.
free speech is what. Is that
This
not
is
right?
writing June 7th, 2007, when Apple computers. Oh well, you might be right. Was at 247. Time to short Apple.
No, that's an old one. That's one that was shortable.
It was because it went down quite a bit.
Yeah.
but it's now back up. So
Well, you don't stay on your short forever.
that was a good move.
It's in the Google Doc if you want to link to it.
Net neutrality threatens free speech, says John C. Dvorak.
That's your headline. And
Berkeley,
that was the
California.
sentence structure.
I love it that they dateline it. Berkeley, California.
Yeah, so that everyone knows I'm nuts.
There's a proposal afoot developed by Senator John Kerry that could undermine free speech on the internet.
That's the voice we need. Kaltenberg.
Yeah, it's a newsreel.
Winchell.
Winchell. It's tricky, so let me explain. If you've not been following the net neutrality debate, then you are missing out on the most contentious argument concerning online services out there. Most recently, the courts ruled that the Federal Communications Commission has no real jurisdiction over the major... This is the Comcast thing.
Yeah.
And the District of Columbia Court of Appeals ruled that... Now, see, I had a big, long email exchange with a telecommunications expert, and he said, you got it wrong last week. It wasn't that the court said that the FCC couldn't do it. They just did it wrong in that case. So the FCC, this is, by the way, the D.C. Court of Appeals apparently is famous for being anti-regulatory. Yeah. So it's not unusual for them to overturn government regulation. So they said, not that you can't do it, but just not in this case. You say that this decision is meant to
No.
taken to mean a rebuke of the ill-defined concept of net neutrality.
That's what it's taken to mean. And so then Kerry comes. You finish reading.
You say not
this
so.
Is actually quite good.
Yeah. A group of online mavens believe that if allowed to complete freedom, the ISPs like Comcast, Time Warner, and AT&T will manipulate the online experience by allowing sites and services they control to get better access and throughput than the competition, right?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
What it means.
Or they may ask Google for money.
Whatever.
For access, which you say in the next paragraph. I'm just summarizing. I'm paraphrasing because I can't read that voice very long.
It's only 600 words. So
This is really... What? Really? It's only 600 words?
Yeah, I only do
It seems longer.
Thanks.
It makes 600 feel like 1,500.
That's great. It feels like a couple of weeks.
This is really what net neutrality is all about. You get net neutrality by making these hypothetical practices illegal. The practice is to limit...
Right.
They're high, and you make a good
The
point.
tiered internet.
Which is, it's hypothetical because nobody's done it in the U.S. yet, although they do it in Canada all the time.
AT&T said, we want to do it. And we want to do it to Google.
Right.
Now, that's still hypothetical, but yeah.
The service providers all say they would never do this, and net neutrality to them means they cannot do tiered pricing schemes if there are restrictions developed to promote net neutrality. So it would eliminate something they do want to do, which is tiered.
Yeah. Well, they kind of do that anyway.
They do it anyway. So here comes a great idea from John Kerry. The idea, which bloggers and various activist groups are all heated and promotional about, will, if implemented, destroy... This is good, John. I like it when you say this. Destroy the internet as we know it. Kerry wrote an op-ed in the Daily Kos this weekend, which was then picked up by the Post, the HuffPo, and then by bloggers. Net neutrality needs your help today. He says we need to reclassify broadband as a... Now, I agree with this. I agree with this.
Mistake if you read the...
All right. Well, okay. So he says he wants to basically classified as its infrastructure, telecommunications services rather than information services. It's infrastructure. It's like a utility,
Well, if you read my
not a publisher. Not
In other words, return it to what it used to be classified as
Right.
before Michael Powell opened it up and at the request of the industry said, okay, you're an information service.
and I go on.
All right, we go on. All right. This was supposedly give the FCC supreme power rather than vague power over the internet. Okay, so far I agree. This is the worst possible outcome, as the FCC will eventually regulate the internet like it does all the other entities under its jurisdiction. By the way, a lot of controversy I remember John Perry Barlow saying even on the EFF board over, well, do you want government regulation or do you want free market? Is there a free market? Do we really want the government to start telling us what to do with the internet? That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
As we've recently witnessed with the FCC attacks on free speech and the various Howard Stern actions. That was an old FCC. That was a different FCC.
What difference does it make? It goes back and forth and back and forth. You can't trust them.
As well as the heavy fines for showing a nipple on the Super Bowl. A nipple on the Super Bowl. We can only imagine what will happen to free speech on the net. I think I'm agreeing with you here.
See, now I found it a little fatuous because television is not classified as a telecommunications service, so that it's not a fair comparison of an example. And the internet used to be classified as a telecommunications service, and we didn't have any of these problems.
But what about John's point that we don't want government, we don't want the FCC to regulate the internet, really, even if it's a telecommunications service?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't agree with it necessarily for these reasons. I think we want to regulate it as little as possible.
You don't think it's a power grab?
I think what we need is more competition. And what the telecommunications industry wants is whatever regulation benefits them most at the time. So when being a telecommunications industry benefited them, they wanted to do that so they could collect the universal service fee and bring in that money. Then they said, hey, you know what, that's not working for us anymore because we're starting to fall into these other jurisdictions, so let's change it to an information service. They got Michael Powell to do that. But now they're looking at it and they're saying, well, we want that USF, we want that service fee, but we don't want to be reclassified as telecommunications. So allow us to collect the fee, just change that part. But don't reclassify us as telecommunications because then we'd have to open up our lines again to competition, and we don't want to do that.
We had this argument last week on Twitter. It was a really good argument between Brian Brushwood, who is a libertarian, and Baratunde Thurston, who is a socialist. And it really is, that's the fundamental question, is do you trust the market or do you trust the government? And I don't trust either.
So see, here's the problem that people have had with this column. They assume that I'm against net neutrality. I'm not against. In fact,
you're against government regulation.
And here's the point: is that this whole thing that Kerry brings up and the discussion of net neutrality is totally besides the point. Changing the definition of information to telecommunication it has zero to do with net neutrality. All it is just, it seems to me to be, and I point this out in the column, that I know for a fact that the Democrats and the FCC and all these people have been irked about talk radio. And they moan about it incessantly, and they don't like all these right-wing nutcases that are all over the internet. And they would love to get a hold of some regulations to shut people down and get rid of the porn.
I certainly hope that's not what's happening. What's happening in Australia as we speak, it's happening all over the world.
Ireland is looking at doing it as well.
You got these awful ACTA 3 strikes laws getting in
yeah, and that's what
France,
is headed if we go in this direction.
Well, but John, what's your answer to? But we really don't have a free market in terms of telecommunications.
I think that
there's no competition.
I think we're far enough down the line if Sprint's WiMAX starts to blossom here and there,
you
get some really
foster competition is the answer.
Yeah, obviously that's always the answer.
Very good. Foster competition.
And the way they fostered competition in Europe, and I'm not sure what I think about this, is to say you folks who make the pipes have to open it up to other ISPs. And so there's competition on the lines.
It's funny because the FCC did that with telcos and didn't do that with cable.
Right.
And I agree. That's what you need to do.
And now they've taken telcos out of it, and telcos don't have to open their lines, and a lot of ISPs are going out of business.
Right. I'm not not in complete agreement with this. That's why I like to see some wireless stuff happen, because when the telcos were told to like open up your lines, and we had people like North Point Communications, which I was working with to have high speed back in the 90s, there would be nothing but horror stories about guys going into the local switch and whoops, I tripped over your server.
That's coming from the telcos.
I had SonicNet. It was the same thing, and they were great.
The other guys,
I'll get Dane Jasper back in here again, who runs SonicNet, who is former chairman of the California Independent Internet Service Providers Association. They're being squeezed. They really are, because the telcos want to keep them out of their COs.
Of course they do.
and they want a monopoly. I think you're right, though. WiMAX, which doesn't use copper. Dane, by the way, is pushing Sonic towards fiber. Google is pushing towards fiber. I mean, the problem is that these trenching solutions, whether it's copper or fiber, cost a heck of a lot of money.
I used to think that that wireless was our best way to go, but the more I think about it, the more I realize wireless always has its own problems, and wired is always more reliable.
Right.
It just always ends up being that way. Maybe that'll change with WiMAX
I would love
and LTE.
to see wireless, especially WiMAX, actually take off. I mean, Intel's been doing nothing but dropping billions into it. And the reason is because at some point, and you should say, wow, you're right.
Wow, you're right.
Because at some point, we will be streaming internet content into our cars as we're driving, and you can listen to TWiT while
We're
you're driving
doing it
around.
now. If you have the iPad app, you can do it right now.
Same thing, only that's a little more
But I
pricey
don't think
than
if they
WiMAX.
reclassify as
You can do it on the iPhone,
telecommunications,
too.
it makes one iota of
It
difference.
ain't gonna be
Because
WiMAX, by the
if you
way.
talk on the telephone right now, they don't stop you from saying dirty words. They don't limit your
Right.
free speech. There's no fairness doctrine
It's
on
infrastructure.
telephone
Yeah,
conversations.
Yeah, but that's not broadcast. If you anything on the
But
internet,
they're not saying
could
reclassify as broadcast.
And I know, but
They're saying
at
reclassify as
some point, I
telecommunications.
guarantee it, because if you think about the logic, that a phone call is me talking to you. But when you're on the internet, you're talking to potentially millions of people, and it's not going to take much but one crazy court case, and the next thing you know, well, this is a form of broadcasting, and it is a form of broadcasting.
I think being classified as an information service as they are now is closer to that broadcasting than classifying them as telecommunications.
Well, apparently the courts didn't agree with that, and that's why I think the FCC only has vague powers.
25 years from now, this will all be solved, and this is what I'm going to look like, just so you know.
Where'd you get that?
It's apparently an iPhone app.
Really? That's not bad.
That will age you.
It looks pretty.
I think I look like that now.
Well, if you, the mustache, when you grow the mustache out.
If I grew that mustache, I think that's exactly what I would look like. What is that? What is the name of that app? It's called Age Me. Age Me.
Free or paid?
You know, Jason Cartwright is here. He does a podcast out of Australia called Tech AU, techau.tv. And he actually has a lot to say about this. Should we bring him in and have him just talk a little bit about the three strikes issue in Australia? Let's do that in just a second. We're going to get Jason mic'd up here. And while we're talking, let me mention Squarespace. Or while we're working, let me mention Squarespace.com. Squarespace is a great place to go for your next website, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. We use it for our Inside TWiT blog, and we're now working with them to redo the Tech Guy site and a lot more because I just love it. You got to. In fact, I know you, Tom. They support Buzz Out Loud, the great company. Easy to use UI for managing and creating a website or a blog. Optimized for both beginners and CSS experts. Jason can share my mic. Just come around back here, Jason. There's a blog module that includes import support and export too for WordPress, Blogger, movable type, and typepads, so you're never stuck. Forums, photo galleries, form builders, Google Maps, and more. I want you to try it free for a couple of weeks. Just go to squarespace.com/twit. You don't even need a credit card. You just set up don't even make it your site. Just play with it just to get an idea of the great templating, the statistics, the iPhone app. Incredible. Can't wait till they do an iPad app. That's going to be the ultimate blogging platform then. Squarespace.com/twit. And if you use the coupon code TWIT, and Tom, you were the one who explained this to me, it's 10% off, not just for the first month or the second month, but for the life of your account.
For good.
I didn't even know
Good
that.
and all.
Just use the coupon code TWIT.
I wish I had done that when I started my forecast blog.
Think of all the
on
money you've
Squarespace.
saved.
Yeah, 10%.
Of course, at $8 a month, which is the starting cost, that's 80 cents. But multiply it times years, and it could be some dough.
Amortize that.
Amortize that. Squarespace.com/twit. We thank him so much for their support of This Week in Tech. Jason Cartwright does a podcast out of Australia. Actually, it's really a network very much like TWiT. TECHAU.TV. And he's here on a kind of tech tour of the U.S. Hey, Jason. Come and sit over here and share this mic with me. How are you?
Hey, Leo. Thanks.
So what's the status? I mean, I know it's gone back and forth in Australia, both the internet filtering provision and now the three strikes law. What's the current status?
Well, the internet filter is basically going to be presented to Parliament, and it's all about the detail of what's in that. So we've had a lot of rumour and speculation as to what's going to be included. It's really down to the finer details as to what we can oppose and what the opposition can oppose and that sort of stuff. There's been obviously a lot of campaign and uproar against it to try like public protests and things like that. But they haven't really seemed to make much of a difference. it's going to take this legislation to be in the courts and in the parliament and debate about it, and then hopefully mass opposal of the filter will occur. So at the moment, I think a lot of Australians just don't even know what's occurring. People
Really?
yeah.
Because around the rest of the world, we're all very aware of this.
Yeah, people in the tech industry, obviously, who pay attention, they know about it and they feel very strongly about it. But people who just go about their day-to-day lives, it's just going to be imposed on them. And so, yeah, we'd prefer that not to happen. So,
Well, it's really being railroaded too, right? Because the ISPs did a test. One of them refused, right? And then the others
don't want to do it.
The others failed. And they still said, great test. Everything failed. Let's keep going.
So they'll try and basically the tests involved specifying a list of websites that they provide a blacklist to, and of course, if you provide that to a router or a switch, or whatever, that's going to not let those through. So they claim that it's 100% successful. The issue is where you get into new sites popping up every single day, and that sort of content needs to be basically you need to use deep packet inspection to detect the content and block it. And so obviously we're conscious of the fact of over-blocking and blocking material that's not unsavory, if you like. And that's where the real problem
What's
is.
the status of the ACTA 3 strikes thing?
The 3 strikes thing, I'm not 100% up to speed. I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks.
I don't know if it's currently an issue in Australia. It was in New Zealand, I know. That's why we did that
I believe we're a party, like there's multiple countries involved in this.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of detail that I'm aware of.
They put out the draft, finally, for public viewing after the New Zealand round. The next round is in June in, I believe, Switzerland? If it's somewhere in Europe.
But it's all secret. That's the sad thing.
Well, it's not secret anymore. They finally
Good.
put out a draft. But what is still secret is the positions of the countries. The U.S. pretty much blocked anyone from admitting who's in support of what parts of it, because the U.S. is the ones being pushed by the industry to put in provisions like a 3 strikes rule, which is not actually in ACTA. It's in a footnote. There's a part of ACTA that says you should make every effort to deter copyright infringement. And then in a footnote it says, a great way to do this is a 3 strikes law.
So will there be an opportunity, now the draft's out, is that now our opportunity to have a I guess a place at that table to debate it? And
Now officials can actually publicly comment on it, which they couldn't before because it was all confidential.
Hey, it's really nice to meet you, Jason. Jason's blog is techau.tv. He's kind of doing a tech tour of the U.S., and he picked up an iPad while he was in the States.
Convenient. That was great that he was right there.
It just happens to be standing around. I think we're going to use Jason as our one of our Australian correspondents because he does a great podcast, and it's great. Which is very convenient that he happened to be around. Web 2600 apparently is the author of Age Me. So if you go to rfly.me/ageme, you can. Oh dear. It's fun with the kids.
Oh my.
Make your relatives and friends look old.
Well, they say when you get old, you start looking like a baby again.
Looks like Dickie Smothers there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Moving along to other stories in the tech world, the tech news world. Apple bans a Pulitzer Prize-winning satirist for satire? Editorial cartoonist Mark Fiore won this year's Pulitzer Prize.
He's a local boy, you know.
Local boy, San Francisco Chronicle, right?
Yeah, SF Gate.
SF Gate, I guess.
Yeah.
He has his own syndication business, and he applied to Apple for an app called New Tunes. It features his work. Apple rejected the app because it contains content that, quote, ridicules public figures.
That's what he does for a living.
Which is protected speech.
You mean like an editorial cartoon? You mean that's what
like
you mean?
anything.
You can go after public figures. That's the way
You
the
can go
law
after
allows.
private figures.
Thank you,
too.
Justice Rehnquist, for the protection of editorial cartoons. But now Apple has flip-flopped on this. Apple has, as soon as this hit the press, it was denied back in January, and as soon as the stories came out this week, Apple said, "Oh no, we made a mistake. Your app can."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, well, that was obviously going to happen because it was embarrassing.
Call from Steve Jobs on line 2.
Mr. Fiore, could you please resubmit your app?
This is bad, terrible press. Credit to Wired's Epicenter blog for publishing it and for getting Apple to back down.
But I mean, is that the way you want to have a store run?
No.
Is that the platform you want to develop for, where if you get enough press, you'll get accepted, but otherwise you can be kicked out for just irritating the approvers?
You know, amazing that Opera Mini got approved by Apple. The Opera browser got approved.
Yeah, that is kind of odd, isn't it?
I did not expect that.
Anybody got a theory as to how that happened?
Well, you know, in the past they've turned down anything that, quote, duplicated functionality inside the iPhone, and the Opera Mini clearly duplicates the Safari browser. I think this is an EU thing. I think Apple... Opera's been very active in the EU. They're the ones that got the EU to rule.
I think you're all over it. You got
that Microsoft had to have a browser ballot, giving Opera a huge market share. It's worked again. They're the #1 free download in all 22 app stores worldwide.
What?
Opera Mini.
Really?
Opera says that Apple contacted them and asked them to submit the Opera Mini browser to the App Store.
This has to be totally EU related.
I don't know if I believe that, because there was a countdown on the Opera site, like how long before Apple accepts us.
Yeah.
I wonder.
And Opera's explanation is that it doesn't duplicate the functionality of Safari because it sends the request to Opera, where it goes through a proxy, and that compresses the pages and supposedly gives you a faster browsing experience. So that's different than Safari, which gives you a slower browsing experience.
Yeah, and by the way, I should mention this, a much less secure browser experience on Opera, because they break all SSL certificates. And if you go to your bank through Opera Mini, Opera can see everything that you're doing in your banking, because they have to do a man in the middle. So
they won't do anything with it.
Yeah, do not use Opera Mini for anything secure.
They won't do anything with it, but maybe the CIA will.
Maybe. These are Norwegians. You know, they can run the country via iPad now?
Apparently from an airport.
Yeah.
So it's not that complicated, apparently, to run a country.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, John, you may want to just have another glass of wine, because it's all Twitter. The Twitter Chirp Conference was this week.
All right.
And some big announcements.
I have some thoughts on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll find that in the Tech Hippie. I believe you mentioned somebody.
Well, no, the tech.
One of them.
Yeah. But I have
thought.
new thoughts.
It was a very brief thought, which we'll
mean
refer
his brother,
to. His brother in the Tech Hippie had a brief thought. But before we do that, I do want to mention audible.com, audible.com/twit2, a great place to go to get two, not one, but two free books from Audible. Audible's that great bookstore that we love so much, of audio books, 70,000 titles. I know, Tom, you're a big Audible listener.
It's my favorite way to consume John Hodgman books.
Yeah, because John reads them.
Yeah, and he puts in extra stuff.
Yeah. So that's cool. What should we pick? There's so many choices. I'm just finishing, by the way. I really want to thank you for the Daniel Suarez recommendations.
Aren't they
just
great?
Coming to the End of Freedom.
Yeah.
So good. Political. That's what I liked about him. It seems like at first it's just murder, mystery, sci-fi, and actually is really about open internet and freedom and corporate control and all that stuff. John, you'd probably have a heart attack if you read it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. They are doing a great job with sci-fi. Maybe we'll point this out. The Audible Frontiers. Audible is, basically bringing sci-fi to your iPod or your iPhone or your Zune or your iPad, because for many years, I think the sci-fi publishers, these guys were tabloid pulp publishers. They didn't have the wherewithal to record audiobooks. So a lot of the greatest audiobooks were never recorded. The greatest sci-fi books were never recorded in audio. Now Audible has, thanks to their own initiative, 3,000 plus sci-fi titles. When I joined Audible many moons ago, like 8 years ago, they had like one or two. So they've really improved it.
It's good for Sword and Laser, actually.
Yeah.
Because the Wind-Up Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi is
that what you're reading right now?
Current one, and it is available on Audible.
I think one of the reasons I like that with Sword and Laser is because I like the idea of participating in a book group, but I just don't have time to read. I'm always so tired when I get in bed. I fall asleep.
I wonder why.
Because I have to hold this heavy iPad up.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to read on that.
Actually, I put it on a pillow.
Yeah?
I read on it all the time.
I stick it on my knees.
See, I can just put the audio book on there and I can listen, which I like. You know what I want to recommend is Terry Pratchett. I think almost all the Discworld books are on audible.com. Certainly a huge selection of them. And it's really, Stephen Briggs does some of them, most of them, I think, and there are a few others, but they just come alive. If you've not read any Terry Pratchett novels, what a You must have done some of the Discworld stuff for
Not yet.
Sword
Not
Laser.
for Sword and Laser. We haven't.
Oh,
no.
you got to do the. I guess you have to
it's a
start
good
at the
one.
beginning.
Well, that's the
which-
problem. Series are always an issue when you're doing a book club.
And is this
Yeah.
a series? There's like 50 of them.
Yeah. Well, it's not exactly a series. It's a world, I guess.
It's a world.
Depends on how you look at it.
I'm trying to remember what the first one was. I know they have it. It's where you first meet Rincewind the magician. I just love this. Love this.
Terry Pratchett is is really different. If you've never read him, it's the kind of sci-fi that you're not going to expect. It's a little bit. You think it's going to be more like Douglas Adams, but then it takes a turn where it's a lot more serious than Douglas Adams, but still funny.
So serious, but yes, and it's that kind of same kind of wry humor. This is the first one. It's The Color of Magic, Discworld #1. Great way. Nigel Planer. I'll play a little bit of this so you can hear it. But Nigel Planer does a great job narrating this
Citizens
one.
of Ankh on the far bank were bravely responding to the situation by feverishly demolishing the bridges. But already the ships in the Moorpork docks, laden with grain, cotton and timber.
I can't
and
read
coated
these
with
now.
tar.
I have to listen to them because I've listened to so many now. I don't even want to read the words, and they're alive in your head. And that's one of the things that's great about audiobooks. Now that clip is low quality, but they do have this available in 2, 3, or 4 audio formats, so you can get the much higher quality version. And it's just the first of 50 of them. Then there's the Light Fantastic, and Equal Rights. Get the first 2, Color of Magic and Light Fantastic. Terry Pratchett, Sir Terry Pratchett. Great world he's created, and I think you will love these books. They just come alive. Audible.com/twit2. Sign up for the Platinum account. That's 2 books a month. Your first 2 books are free, and yours to keep. You can cancel at any time, and you'll still have those books. Audible.com/twit2. We thank them so much for their support. And as long as we're talking, what was the name of the book that you're doing in
The Wind-Up Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi. And what's interesting about it on Audible is that it is narrated by a narrator and the author together.
I think Veronica mentioned this last week when she was on the show.
Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah. So there's another good choice. Swordandlaser.com if you want to join that book club. And the good way, I love it. Do you actively say, let's find books that are on Audible?
We try to find we try to pick books for a lot of different reasons. We try to find them in ways that are as available in as many different formats as possible, and they tend to be available on Audible more often than on a Kindle, actually. So it's easier.
Right. I love it. Audible.com/twit2. We thank them for their support. So Twitter had its first conference. There have been a lot of Twitter conferences, but Twitter's Chirp conference was the first thrown by Twitter. And I've talked, Gina Trapani was there from our Twig show, and I've talked to other people there. And Gina kind of said, it's kind of funny to see Evan Biz acting like the startup boys. Oh, gee, shucks, we just have this little startup called Twitter, and, we're just the young guy. And she said, dudes, face up to it. You're getting 50 million posts a day. You're getting huge traffic, and it's a very important service. And stop pretending you're the aw shucks, hippies. They have announced, finally, a plan to monetize. They're going to make some money by putting ads on Twitter.
Yeah, within the
Search.
interstitial. Or no, search.
Starting with search, and then eventually kind of very cautiously putting it into your stream interstitial.
They call it promoted tweets. And you can, if you're on Twitter, you can try it. I think this is about as benign as you can get. Try it by doing a search for Starbucks, for instance, on Twitter.
Is that working now?
And there you go, right at the top under real-time results for Starbucks. When I first heard about this, I did it, and they didn't have the promoted tweet, and so the first 3 tweets were Starbucks sucks, I hate Starbucks. So this is a way for a company to kind of control the message a little bit better. But you know what's interesting? They said these are real tweets, right? So you can see it says promoted by Starbucks coffee. But it was a tweet from April 9th. It was a tweet from 9 days ago. It's not the most recent Starbucks tweet. And it's a very clear ad, right?
Yeah, it's got a different coloring behind it, and it says promoted by Starbucks.
Well,
coffee.
no,
It
only
doesn't
when
say
I hover.
advertised.
Look at that. Only when I hover.
Oh, the different color only happens when you hover.
But you can kind of tell. It's very much like Google, where they have kind of a search result at the top. Now, they say they are going to insert these into the tweet stream, and that I'm a little more nervous about.
Well, and they're nervous about it, too, because they're not doing it right away. And they say they want to make sure they do it in a way that takes into account the kind of stuff you like, so that when you see it, it sort of blends in the way a retweet does. It's like, okay, that's the kind of stuff I'd be interested in. But that's
will it be
tough
by
to pull off.
Well, if I don't follow Starbucks, will it show up in my timeline? Or
If you're the kind of person who tweets about coffee a lot,
it would
or
still
something,
show
then
up.
yeah,
Who
it
would
could.
follow Starbucks?
It's a good question. I know there are people out there who do, but
I can't imagine anybody ever following. Wait a minute. I guess I'm following Starbucks.
Are you?
Are you really?
Yeah.
Look at that. You're following.
Why would you do that?
That's a really good question. I don't know why I'm following Starbucks.
Well, and that's why they need promoted tweets, because nobody's going to follow
following them.
companies.
Well, wait a minute. Let me
unless they're
see.
Big fans.
Hey, 845,000 people are following Starbucks.
I said
Are
no
you-
one would
Are
ever
you
do that.
sure that you didn't? That they just made you follow?
Maybe they
them?
just follow them automatically.
Maybe the next thing you know, boom, you're following them and you don't know it.
That would be bad. And if Twitter did that, they would
But
get a lot of
how are they
trouble.
going to get caught? First, they take a look. They see how many people you're following. If it's over like 5,000 or 1,000 or something like that, they say, "Well, who's going to know?"
Oh, no.
You
They'll
just
never
throw
know.
it in. He'll never remember. Can't
They'll
remember
never
that
know.
many. And why is Starbucks following 82,000?
And how do they pick?
And how do they pick?
Yeah, they could be following 20 million. I mean, that's how many people use
That sounds
Twitter.
like they used to follow everybody who followed them, and then,
And then
at
they
some
turn
point
it off.
stopped. Yeah.
No, but there's no way that 845,000 people actually are following Starbucks.
Sure there is.
Why not?
Who? Why? Why would you follow them?
This is the stupidest thing you've heard humanity do?
You've heard of Farmville, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll
I mean,
tell you
people-
why. I'll
people
tell you
follow
why. They
weird
put
stuff.
coupons up there, of course.
I know people who are big Starbucks fans who they live and die by Starbucks. They can't wait to find another Starbucks. When they see a Starbucks, they get excited. I don't pretend to understand it, but I know they exist. So, I mean, the number seems pretty big to me. But
Look, they actually ask you to follow them. Here's one. Hey, Bernard Falk, can you follow us? I have a question. I'd like to DM you.
Right.
That's from Starbucks.
Yeah.
I think they, April 15th, they gave away free coffee. So if you'd followed them, you knew that.
you want to know about specials.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all right.
And the next day they gave away 2 free cups.
Really?
Yeah, when it wasn't a special.
First prize is a cup of coffee. Second prize is 2 cups of coffee.
I get it. I get it. And if you bring in a reusable mug on April 15th.
Okay, well, we've given them enough publicity, although they could be a sponsor the way you're going.
Actually, it was Starbucks. I believe it was Starbucks who suggested a morning show.
Uh-huh. Well, coffee. That makes sense, right?
Coffee, morning.
I would go for it. And do it out in New York City. And when you get that place, make sure there's a bedroom attached.
It's not going to matter, John.
that's
The
perks,
entire
man,
world
perks.
is going to be covered with ash, and you won't be able to fly anywhere.
The promoted tweets got a lot of coverage because it's their business.
But there's a
plan,
lot of other
finally,
stuff.
right? But then there's this API
like this.
developer controversy because Twitter has officially anointed a few apps as their official clients. They bought Tweety, they've created one for the BlackBerry, and they say they're creating one for Android as well.
And I would imagine, and I asked Gina this as well, that developers might be up in arms. And yet, there are people doing new Twitter clients. And in fact, she mentioned one that was kind of clever that would had some filtration in it. So you could say, I'd like to control a little bit more, have more ways of controlling what I see. Or I think there's opportunities.
Hey, what's this thing on Twitter? And it showed up. It's a little icon that shows up in your generalized stream.
It's the retweet.
The retweet thing, but
It's like a recycled
yeah,
icon.
but half the people that I look on my regular, I'm not following these people.
That's just the new way to do retweet is to show who it came from originally, and then it'll
So they
say
put their-
retweeted by X, and that's a person you are following.
It's a little confusing. I admit I was baffled by it when I first saw it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
I don't like it at all. I don't follow.
I don't like
try
it.
I have a limited number of people I follow for good reason.
Well, in the old days, you would have just seen the person who retweeted it. So it is somebody you're following retweeting it. It's just they're giving attribution to the original author, if you will.
I bet you that if there were someone out there who are kind of a hippie, he might have something to say about it.
Someone's brother
Someone's brother
or other.
or other might have something to say about Twitter. Well, as soon as I get through the ad. What am I complaining about? We got ads too. This is an ad for, what is that an ad for? Do not miss this film. Oh, this is Kick-Ass. Yeah.
Apparently, it's dying at the box office.
Is it really? Boy, they were really, at South by, they were really interested in seeing Kick-Ass. Long lines.
That comic is actually on the iPad, on Comixology. If you
Is
want,
it?
If you want to catch up.
So what's the best comic app on the iPad?
I like Comixology the best.
Better than Marvel. Marvel gets all the attention.
Marvel app is made by Comixology.
Oh, interesting.
And it's just Marvel, whereas
So this
Comixology
would be
has
better.
Marvel and other
Got it.
publishers.
Got
as well.
it. So here's, let's see what the tech hippie has to say.
Hey, man, what is this Twitter tweeting bull crap?
That's it.
That was it?
That's all. That's all he has to say.
That's,
Who is this guy?
That game, heavy rain, man. They had a heavy rain in Berkeley, man.
What is your shirt? What does his shirt say?
that is.
Are you checking me out? Is that what
checking me out? It's it was a Nintendo shirt.
Oh,
my me?
Yeah. And then, of course, he's wearing a sheriff's department thing over a shirt over that. He's the layers.
Layers.
And then, of course, the peace thing, which is
Years ago.
The police bling, we call
It's
it.
bling.
It was like
It's kind of like Woody Harrelson's character from 2012.
When they hit you, man. Hey, man, what's the story about virtual money?
John, you're a fertile mind.
I can't get a job as an actor.
So I can't understand why. Twitter also has
Your brother could, I think.
added something new to the API called annotation, which I think could be potentially very interesting, where you can annotate tweets with, I think it's 500 bytes of pairs, like weather equals, but they don't specify. It could be nice, it could be sunny, it could be rainy, it could be anything.
So it's like geotagging, except for other stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can geotag. That's
Right.
the only annotation you can do right now, right?
But that's a standard. That's a longitude and latitude, or it's a city name. This could be anything. Weather equals hippie.
Yeah.
And then they don't specify
But the developer decides where it's going to pull that. You don't put that in.
Yeah, the client, I guess, could use it somehow. No, you don't. Well, you could maybe have a client that would let you put it in. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you could. You could program the client to say, add your weather right now, and you could make it say Fjord or whatever you want.
Fjord. Twitter has 105 million registered users, 22.3 million unique visitors in March. They are adding 300,000 a day.
I wonder how they monetize each user. It'd be a minimum of $10.
Actually, according to Twitter, I'm sorry, I said 22.3 million. That's the probably like a ComScore number. Yeah, that's ComScore number. Twitter's own number, 180 million.
Yeah, so that puts the company at about $2 billion minimum.
There was that report that valued your followers at $3.60 on average.
Wow.
I don't think that would be the same for monetizing it as a company for sale.
And here's the deal on why you want to have a third-party client. 75% of the traffic to Twitter.com doesn't come to Twitter.com. It's from a client.
Now, do you think the developers have a beef here where they're like, hey, wait a minute, we made all these clients for you, and you fostered that and got us to start businesses around this, and now you've anointed one, and we're left out in the cold?
You know, if you develop on top of somebody's platform, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Google, I think as a developer, this is life.
You've dealt with Microsoft, haven't you?
Yeah. Or Apple.
They set the stage.
They seem to be shocked, these developers.
I can't believe this.
I wonder if the people who are shocked are actually third-party client developers or just people.
Troublemakers.
Hacker news or / readers.
I could see the developers being upset that they didn't get picked. They're like, wait, you bought Tweet?
Well, they still haven't picked an Android application, so there's still, there's
some competition.
There's some competition going on,
and I
they
think
say
you're
they
right.
will do
You can have an official Twitter client, just like you have an official Facebook client, and still have other apps that do other things.
Right. I think that's the key. Is that, as always with a developer, you've got to find a unique niche. Did you? You must have heard the 8-bit. This has nothing to do with anything.
We talked about this on Current Geek Weekly.
I thought you might.
Yeah.
8-bit Dark Side of the Moon. This is hysterical.
Yeah. Somebody has taken
Brad Smith.
Brad Smith. Well done, Brad Smith.
Let me just play you. I don't know why. I just have to play this. This is you'll recognize this little ditty from Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. What are you squeaking your chair there?
You loaded a bunch of gear back here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it in your way?
What are you going to do with all that junk?
No.
You recognize the song?
Not bad, actually. It's not
It's
far
very
off.
good. And then did you see the Nintendo version of Dr. Horrible's
Yes. Yeah, we
musical
talked about
blog?
with
That
you.
was great, too.
No, I love all this 8-bit stuff. Now, of course, with this, somebody has to, the obvious, you have to come up with an 8-bit version of Wizard of Oz.
Oh, because you got to play it next to.
Right. That's probably what the tech hippie listens to when he's hanging out at home.
That's what I heard.
Isn't it funny that the nostalgia for this Nintendo era? It's people like you, Tom, who grew up playing Nintendo, right?
Or Atari, yeah.
Or Atari.
Yeah.
I didn't grow. I was in my 20s when this stuff came out. And John was in his 50s, but
I was in my 60s, my friend.
Very well.
60s, get it right.
John C. Dvorak is at channeldvorak.com.
So I've got a story that I think we should be discussing.
We're not done.
All right.
I was wrapping it early. What did it, tell me.
Did anyone read this health alert? Samsung releases safety disclaimer regarding the health risk of 3D viewing.
So
we've open stairwells.
We actually talked about this on the radio show. You know, first of all, you buy a Samsung 3D TV. It comes with the one Blu-ray 3D disc. There is only one.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing else is in 3D. It comes with 2 pairs of glasses. If you want a third family member to watch, $150.
Yeah, and a lot of people would have maybe a husband, wife, a couple of kids. How would you watch a Super Bowl game with the boys?
Well, you can't have a party.
You go broke.
And it gives you a headache.
Minimally.
Some people.
Maybe epilepsy.
May cause nausea.
Epilepsy.
May cause nausea.
That's my favorite one.
So, excuse me.
Photosensitive seizure warning and other health risks.
That I understand they have to do because, in fact, we got in trouble on the screensavers. Remember, we played some sort of flashing thing.
It tells you not to watch while you're drinking.
Yes, drunks should not watch 3D TV.
I'm confused.
Well,
I put my hand through it.
There are a lot of people who can't see 3D TV. There's a lot of people it does give headaches to. So they're just being ultra cautious. But pregnant women, didn't it say? Shouldn't watch it? And drunks.
And drunks.
Should be careful.
One thing I did also want to mention, I forgot, is what do you think of the new space policy? Because I think a lot of us geeks were a little perturbed that the Obama budget, kind of backed off space exploration. Obviously,
Neil
heard
Armstrong
that.
thinks so.
Well, and Neil and Buzz disagree, right?
Yeah,
Neil's
Buzz Aldrin
pissed off.
thinks
Buzz
it's
thinks
fine.
it's a great program.
Well, Buzz is being invited to the White House for dinner. He kind of likes the guy.
He's been on Dancing with the
Neil is
Stars.
like antisocial. He never does anything.
But wait, because they revised it. And this week, President Obama gave a speech at Kennedy Space Center and said, we're going to do some stuff. We're not, and look, I think this is the right thing to do, which is to say, look, we're in tough economic times. We can't afford a Mars program and a moon program, but we understand that it's important to do space exploration, so we're going to do what we can.
And privatize more. Make more.
Jerry
encourage
Parnell's
more
got to love that.
Companies to take stuff in.
You know what? We'll get Jerry on next week. I should have gotten him on this week to talk about it because he has been pushing private space exploration for some time. I hate that idea. Do you want corporations to put ads up on the moon?
That's what they do too. That's the first thing
that's
I
what
do.
they
If you
do.
get up there, you put a big
already
ad.
You look like
put
the
ads
So
on
you
the
look
moon.
up there,
NASCAR
it says
moon.
something on the moon.
You don't need to get up there to do that.
How much would
Well, you could do it with-
PepsiCo
you could do it
pay
with,
to say, taste of the new generation on the moon?
Y'all are nuts. That's not what's going to happen.
It's
I
not?
think it's a good idea. I think you have to. I mean, to get to that 2001 A Space Odyssey where Pan Am is flying you into the space hotel, you got to have private
Pan
companies
Am went
involved.
broke already.
Yeah, I know. It's just a bad prediction.
So the new plan is NASA's budget will go up $6 billion over the next 5 years, most of it going into research.
Whatever that means.
They're going to replace the Constellation, which they've canceled, with a new heavy lifting rocket. That's good. The Orion capsule, based on the Apollo capsule, will still be built initially for space station
As a lifeboat.
as an escape module, but it could be adapted for crew space missions. And NASA will plan missions to near-Earth asteroids. I think something that's a very good idea if you read any science fiction.
Yeah, sure.
By 2020 to Mars in the 30s, but we aren't going to go to the moon. And that's where Neil says, we could go to the moon.
Well, I thought it was a good idea to go back to the moon as a way to train for going to Mars, to build a way station, to kind of try things out and make sure that the Constellation program worked. So I feel like this is gutting that a little, to say, you know what, we spent all this money on Orion and Constellation, and we still want to go to Mars, but we're just going to go there direct without that. Seems a little bit like he threw that in, the president threw that in to mollify people.
Well, he mollified me.
Yeah,
Maybe he didn't mollify Neil, but he mollified me. By the way, this just in, Coke-sponsored rover finds evidence of Dasani on Mars. The real,
Yeah, probably a bunch of empty bottles.
It's called the Real Rover, and it found signs that cool, refreshing Dasani water once drenched the surface of the red planet. This discovery is so exciting, says Dr. Marvin Chen, NASA Space Science Administrator and temporary liaison to Coca-Cola, that it indicates that the red planet may have once hosted a healthy, active, fun-filled microscopic life.
The onion?
The onion, yeah. It's the Real Rover.
They allow the rover. We talked about this on Current Geek Weekly Friday. They allow the rover to make decisions for itself now.
Well, like what?
Programmed it and said, "Go do your."
It's the autonomous rover.
That's going to build an army and come back here. That's what's going to happen.
That would be good.
Yeah,
clean things up.
John C. Dvorak, can I now wrap this sucker?
I think so.
This fish, put it to bed. John C. Dvorak is at channeldvorak.com. He has something to do with the Tech Hippie, that new one, and the old one, the Tech Grouch. Although the Hippie looks older than the Grouch.
Tech Grouch is making a comeback.
Oh, was gone for a while?
No, I mean the Tech Hippie tried to. So it's a ratings battle between the two.
Oh, create a little bit of.
I'm gonna kick your.
Oh dear! Oh my gosh! Oh, the battle! Oh well, that's kick-ass. Never mind.
Humanity.
I thought that was Tech Hippie and Tech Grouch fighting it out.
That would be good.
And Tom Merritt, who is still for the nonce at CNET.com. He is the host of Buzz Out. What's going to happen to Buzz Out Loud without you?
I don't know. That is yet to be announced. So stay tuned to bol.cnet.com to find out.
But through May 14th, and then a couple of weeks off, and then he joins the TWiT network on June 1st, and we're going to have lots to talk about at that time,
I'm
sure.
very excited to get started.
Working on all sorts of stuff. So glad to have you as part of the team, Tom.
Thanks, Leo.
It's been a long time. I've been doing this all by myself. I need some help. And John, I don't know if Adam's listening, but if you ever get tired of that dude, you give me a call.
Well, the No Agenda Show at noagenda.show.com.
I like that show.
It's pretty hard to
and he's done a
walk
great
away
job
from
with that. Yeah, he's really done a good job with it. You do that live Sunday morning.
And Thursdays. Come on, twice a week.
Oh, twice a week now.
It's always been twice a week.
Oh, I guess I just missed the Thursday.
No, you know it's
No agenda on either show?
It's bothly a no agenda.
Both agendaless?
It's agendaless.
And there's a live feed of that, but no video.
And notice we haven't had anyone harass your KFI show recently.
Yeah, Baba Booey to y'all.
No, it's in the morning. That's what we use.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, TWiT is now a video show you can watch live. You have been able to watch live for over a year at live.twit.tv Sunday afternoon, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 2200 UTC for those of you under the cloud. Ooh, you got nothing to do, can't get on a plane, stuck there in Norway. Listen to TWiT. We also put it on YouTube, youtube.com/TWiT. Look in the TWiT channel. We have all our shows up there now. And, of course, on iTunes. We have a whole TWiT, they gave us like a thing, a TWiT thing. How do I get there? Have we made a short URL for that? Let me make a short URL for that. It's not there yet if you're watching live, but before the show will air, twit.tv/iTunes. And it'll just take you there. bit.ly/twit-iTunes. That's good. Bitly's better than nothing. And that'll launch iTunes for you and take you to our brand new iTunes artist page, which we control.
And the vertical and the horizontal.
We do. Look, I have to agree before I'm allowed to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Come on. Oh, iTunes. Oh, boy.
Trying to pull up the page?
Yeah, because I got to say yes. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's a new version of iTunes on here. By the time I get it all done.
One moment, please.
One moment. Loading.
Syntax error.
Syntax error.
Working.
Loading. Working. There it is. Wait a minute. What happened?
Progress bar.
There it is. TWiT. See that? The nice new artist page?
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, we got all shows. We got video. We got audio, video large. We got I don't know how this works, top podcasts. Somehow this has automatic from iTunes, based on subscriptions,
You're losing
I guess.
control of the tech.
Live audio's on. Oh, yeah, this is cool.
Don't do it now. You'll break the internet.
You can listen now. TWiT Live, listen now. If you click that, I think, let's see what happens. Will it break the internet?
Break the internet.
They think it broke the internet. Listen now. Oh, my God, we've broken the internet.
I've
If you
heard
click
this
that, I
before. I'm
think-
experiencing deja vu.
Deja
Broke the
vu.
internet.
Thank you, everybody. Another twit
broke the internet.
is in the
Listen now.
can.
Oh my God, we've broken the internet.
Going mad.
I've heard
click
this
that, I
before. I'm
think-
experiencing deja
Deja
vu.
vu. Deja
Broke the
vu.
internet.
Thank you, everybody. Another twit
broke the internet.
is in the
Listen
can.
now. Oh my God, we've broken the internet.
Going mad.
I've heard this before. I'm experiencing deja
Deja
vu.
vu. Deja vu. Thank you, everybody. Another twit
Broke the internet.
is in the can.